Well, hello everybody. Marky Billson here, host of Tri-Cities Sports Now, and it is D-Day for the Elizabethton Twins. That's right. I am your voice of choice for a new generation of Tri-Cities sports fans, and the reason why is because I've got a take on a story happening today that nobody else in the media that I can find has. Because you see, today is the last day the city of Elizabethton reportedly will approve funding for the renovation of Joe O'Brien Field. Current proposal they have provides $1 million of city money to the yard, primarily for locker room, umpire room upgrades. Now, the city has always proposed that the Minnesota Twins pay a third of the renovation cost for O'Brien Field in Elizabethton. But when an agreement was supposedly reached in September to keep the Twins in Elizabethton for beyond this season, let's just put it that way, there was no money in the reported agreement by the parent organization for ballpark renovation. So in September, the only thing that the Minnesota Twins said that they were paying for the ballpark renovation was bats, balls. I think the most expensive thing was they're going to put in a new whirlpool. You know, everything, hey, you build that new locker room, you build that new umpire's room. And the city of Elizabethton always said, wait a minute, we want the Minnesota Twins to pay a third of the costs. Which, by the way, the cost of the entire project of O'Brien Field renovation, I found that it varied from finally what they said in September, $1.5 million. It was over $3 million at one point. They were saying that's how much it would take to fix it. I'd like to have something concrete. This is how kind of shady this whole thing has been. Anyway, as of this morning, 10 a.m. this morning, I talked to Elizabethton General Manager Mike Maines, and he tells me there has been no agreement made. And though he would not be directly involved in negotiations one way or the other, a general manager in the Appalachian League, their job a little bit different than, say, certainly a general manager in the major leagues, which is about basically organizing a roster. Well, Maines is traveling out of the area today. He's in Charlotte to attend a funeral. That's the general manager of the team on D-Day for the Elizabethton Twins. Doesn't look too promising, huh? Now, I got to tell you the truth. I have taken a pox on both their houses mindset to both Elizabethton and the Minnesota Twins because of the way they've both handled this situation with figures for renovation. Like I said, original. There were times they say $1.5 million is what it's going to take to refurbish the ballpark. There were plans of like $3 million, more than $3 million during the summer that we would hear. It's, I think, part of a tight-lipped and often dishonest attitudes towards negotiations, and I put the blame on both sides, both the city of Elizabethton, their political leaders, and the Twins. Frankly, I can't get any of them to return a phone call. I've had the mayor of Elizabethton, Kurt Alexander, renege on an interview agreed to in person following a city council meeting that I attended. I said, hey, I'm Marky Billson, 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities. I want you on a show, talk about the Elizabethton Twins situation. Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow at 1:30. Call them up. Not there. And never I'm sorry, I was called away, let's reschedule either. And that's been par for the course. I remember being at O'Brien Field for the Appalachian League Championships, sitting in the press box next to Jerome Kitchens. He's the city manager of Elizabethton. He let it slip out that he didn't think the Minnesota Twins would pay any of the money to refurbish the ballpark. I got me a scoop now, don't I? So I follow up on it. I got the coldest shoulder from Kitchens, but what really bothered me, I mean, I can tell oh boy, I shot my mouth off, all this sort of, although he really should be open with me because I'm a conduit to the public. But what he really bothered me was his answer that he gave me, which was, I don't do sports. He's at a baseball game. So much for the honesty of the city manager of Elizabethton, Tennessee. The only thing I can get from the Minnesota Twins front office is that I corralled Brad Steele, he's the minor league director, and I corralled him at O'Brien Field last summer, and he told me last summer that the Twins had no plans to leave the Appalachian League, but that was last summer. And that was after letters, phone calls, everything to the front office of the Twins. Nothing ever returned. In fact, I remember in 2016, in September, I actually called in and said, well, we've got the season is going on at this time, September 2016, Major League season. We'll get to you after the season. Never heard anything until I corralled their minor league director at the ballpark. And the only real news was no plans to leave the Appalachian League. Has that changed? You know, Boyd Sports, which just took over the operations of the Greenville Reds, they're also operating the Johnson City Cardinals these days. They were originally going to operate the Elizabethton Twins this year, but they pulled out. There is a one-year agreement in place for the Twins to play in Elizabethton for this season, but no longer. Now, I'm a big believer in having pro sports in one's community. Forgive me for going back to Pittsburgh, East Tennessee, but I know Art Rooney was always adamant. He used to be the owner of the Steelers years ago. Art Rooney Sr., you know, the chief and Hall of Fame owner. And he always said when a city loses its pro sports franchise, it really it loses something of intangible value. You know, consider if the Twins weren't in Elizabethton. Okay, that's not the you don't get the marketing of you know, Elizabethton on the back of the baseball card for a Twin. You know, you don't get that. You don't get, you know, the listing in Baseball America, that sort of thing. You know, there is attention that you get from being the Elizabethton Twins, from having Elizabethton's name known to anyone who's ever looked at a minor league baseball stat sheet or standings board or anything like that. It's thousands and thousands of people. Question, though, is, I mean, to what practicality does that have? Yes, I understand that, Green Bay wants the Packers so that they can be called a big league city. But what do the Twins really give Elizabethton? Question I'm asking right here. I think that the Twins, for far too long, and it's going to happen again without Boyd Sports on board, they've been run like a mom and pop organization, a business, mom and pop. They've never had any real marketing wing of the club. And frankly, I'm ready for the Twins to go. Look, Johnson City, it's 7 miles away. Howard Johnson Field, it's right off the road from Johnson City to Elizabethton, if you've ever been there. Lee Landers, Appalachian League president, he's talked about expanding the footprint of the league. In other words, the geographical area. And let's face it, having 5 teams located all in the Tri-Cities, that doesn't expand the geographic footprint. A lot of rumors that the AA Smokies in Sevierville, the Tennessee Smokies, are looking in future seasons to become the Knoxville Smokies again, build a ballpark down there, etc., etc. If you did that, that leaves a nice ballpark, a AA caliber ballpark in Sevierville vacant. Lots of speculation. Hey, how about an Appalachian League team right there? How about the Sevierville Twins? Just throwing it out there. Frankly, that ballpark is going to be better than any renovation that Joe O'Brien Field could realistically have. Now, I don't know. Maybe today's do-or-die date by the city of Elizabethton is a bluff to get communication going between two entities that really, I've found, do not like to communicate. And that's the whole thing. The city of Elizabethton, they're placing the blame on the Twins, saying, hey, you know, we'd like you to pay $500,000 of this renovation that you want so badly, and we can't get you to return our phone calls. Okay. And so, you know, maybe, who knows? The date is not concrete. Supposedly, Elizabethton pulls their offer off the table if they don't work something out with the Twins today. But let's just say it's not a hard-line date. Let's say negotiations continue for the future of the Twins in 2019 and beyond. Can we realistically expect this chaos to end even if a plan is eventually worked out between team and town? Can we realistically expect that? I don't think we can. I'm Marky Billson, host of Tri-City Sports Now. I invite you to watch my archives on my video section of my own Facebook page. You'll hear rants and raves just like this. You'll also, and this is not a rant and a rave, this is actually legitimate commentary on a breaking news story here in the Tri-Cities. I also invite you to listen in on the radio, noon to 2, 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities. Tomorrow, Stan Pamphilus, Asheville sportscaster and a legend from WLOS. I watched him when I was 11 years old living in Little River, North Carolina. That was a while back. But anyway, Stan Pamphilus will be joining me talking about the Southern Conference basketball tournaments that, of course, held in Asheville, and everybody likes it when they are held in Asheville, it seems. So that is going to be on tomorrow's program. Also, have more take on what's going on with the Twins. We'll have more takes on everything of local and national. I've even got a couple of real good college football stories, including, could the Georgia Bulldogs quarterback situation next year, where they got two pretty good ones to play, actually work in their downfall? Much like a quarterback controversy can. I'm Marky Billson. I hope to hear from you, either in the comments section below, or by listening to 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities tomorrow. Thanks for watching.